Linda, is there any, well, I know that there's one example that you give with a lot of your clients, and you've shared this with the coaching team as well. Can you share with us, especially around insulin dosing? One of the things that you're working with a lot of people who are living with a new onset or newly diagnosed with some form of insulin dependent diabetes or are new to using insulin. And because that's something that you're very familiar with and comfortable with, that's a population of the client base that you're working with. But there's also a lot of people out there listening to this might also be thinking, like, I don't want to use insulin. Like, insulin is not something I really feel comfortable with. It's not something I want to use. But then again, it looks like that may be where I'm headed, but I'm scared. I don't like it. What would you tell somebody in that situation? What would you say to them if they're fearing insulin? They're feeling like this isn't something that I want to have to use.
Yeah, and I was doing a consult with one of our other coaches' clients. And sometimes we do that. We step in just to talk to another, just to get another perspective. And so this woman was crying and telling me she did not want to use insulin. Her blood sugar was very, very high and clearly needed it, had been given a prescription for it, didn't want to take insulin, and yet she's sitting there wearing a pair of glasses. And I said, "Was it hard for you to get your glasses?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, this is exactly the same as insulin. You went to the eye doctor and they told you you couldn't see well. And um, you didn't say to the eye doctor, I'll just take the reading glasses. I really don't want to wear glasses. So just correct me a little bit, or just, halfway, or not at all. I'm just going to pretend I don't need glasses." Like, we don't do that. We also don't do that. Like, we have so many people that are on thyroid medications, and we don't tell the doctor, "Well, just give me a smaller dose than what I really need." And so I just talk about, like, this is like putting on a pair of glasses. If you need insulin, you need insulin. Like, if we have a low C peptide, we do not have a deficiency of some drug. We actually are deficient in our ability to make insulin. And sure, we can work on insulin sensitivity, but ultimately, if we don't make enough insulin, we don't make enough insulin, and we're just we're just replacing that which we don't have. It's just like putting on glasses. I'm wearing contacts today, and so I have so many clients that are like, "Well, I'm only going to take half as much because I don't want any," and I'm like, "Well, that really doesn't make sense. I mean, you wouldn't be able to drive if you put on half of your glasses. So, yeah, I use that with the clients. They're like, "Oh, I guess that makes sense."
Aha moment right there. I mean, when you shared that with the coaching team, because again, these are the things that we talk about as a team, like ways of connecting the dots for people, ways of making those aha moments come through. And it's so true. Like, you wouldn't walk around with like glasses with like on like your left eye, but not your right. And again, I'm really glad you pointed out, like, for people who are not producing enough insulin, that is what we're talking about. Like, if you've been diagnosed with low C peptide and low insulin production, insulin is a hormone that our bodies require. It is necessary for life, and it becomes a hormone replacement. And unfortunately, as an injectable, that I think raises concerns for people because it's an injected um, you know replacement hormone. It's an injected hormone. But I think it's a really great analogy, and I appreciate you sharing it. I wanted you to be able to share that because that's the kind of insights that we get the opportunity to help people sort of make connections with.
Yeah, sometimes we just have to change our thinking about things. It's sort of like the fear of eating carbs. Like, I have people coming to me that are literally eating 50 grams of carbs a day or less, and they are terrified of eating a banana. And they're crying about not being able to eat carbs. And it's just, and they have no energy. They can barely drag themselves out of bed. They can't work. They can't think. They're just feeling miserable. And within a few weeks of just changing their mindset and just giving it a try, and easing your way into it, like, they feel better than they have in absolutely years. And they cannot believe that they believed basically a lie, because the insulin is, or the glucose that we're getting from the carbs, like, we need that. We need that energy, right? And so, like, we have to change our mind about certain things. And yeah, it's great to do it in a nice, supportive environment.
I want everybody to hear that piece right there because the fear behind it is what you really called out. And bringing somebody back to life through that fear. Look at what standardized diabetes nutrition management sounds like. It sounds like restriction of the nutrient that we need the most. And it takes a lot of what I think of as nutrition as therapy. It's conversations from people who really see you and have heard that themselves to coach back. It's such a many deep layers of carb phobia and where it comes from, and it's so unfortunate that um, this is not being talked about far and wide at this point, that we've had so many years of carb restriction as the primary nutrition recommendation in diabetes. It's astonishing.
It really is. It is amazing. And I think about how I used to feel when I was in my 40s, and I was a lot younger than I am now that I'm in my early 60s. And I was always tired, and I would want to go lay down and take a nap. And after, I was constantly tired and sleeping and not doing much. And now, like, I am up and I am ready. And I have this overall feeling of wellness that, like, oozes out of me. And it's very hard to explain. And I'll be a little bit tired late in the day, and I'll go, I'm going to go take a nap. And I will lay down for like 15 minutes, and then I'm back up. And my husband will say, I thought you were going to take a nap. I'm like, I can't nap anymore. I literally cannot take a long nap because there is so much energy now. And of course, part of that is having insulin. So I actually am getting the glucose into my cells, which is awesome. But the other thing is just eating the healthy food with lots of vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients in it. And just that feeling of wellness, which when you then feel well, then you can move your body more, which then makes you feel more well. And it just becomes this really powerful force in your life, you know?